Welcome, and thank you for joining Between Sessions with Justin and Challie.
Just a quick disclaimer before we start. This podcast is for educational and conversational purposes only. It's not intended to replace therapy, counseling, or professional mental health care. We are sharing lived experiences and reflections, not prescriptions, and we encourage our listeners to seek professional guidance when needed.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week. Today, we have a topic that it seems like we're running into a lot, and we thought it'd be a really good time with everybody's favorite holiday coming up of Valentine's Day.
Yay!
So, kind of speaking about love and relationships, we're going to go over some early red flags in relationships and how we can spot them, and some different ways to be able to challenge them or to be able to identify them a little bit easier.
Why do you think it's so hard to identify them?
Well, because it's new and it's exciting. We're in like the romance phase. Everything is exciting. And I mean, it could also be that we're questioning, like, is it really something or am I being crazy? I know that's something I've experienced in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like having just ignoring things because we want it to work too.
Yep.
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times people will put on the rose-colored glasses and they really want a relationship to work where they're willing to overlook some of the small things, but really
Yeah.
the small things at the beginning are really what you want to pay attention to, because at the beginning of any relationship, your first couple dates, that should be when you're like impressive. So if you're already seeing these little things that you have to ignore, those red flags.
The light bulb kind of went off for me of like, oh, I can fix that. It's gonna be fine. I'll
Oh
fix
my
that.
gosh. Yes.
We're not changing the person. Yes, we want to grow with someone, but we shouldn't have to change the person.
Right.
Sure.
We should be able to complement each other's growth
Yeah.
and success, but we're not going to change somebody. You're not going to change their personality. You're not going to change their toxicity.
No.
So, okay.
Mhm.
Early red flags. I think one of the big ones is communication skills.
And so this one is a little bit tricky, I feel like. So definitely like a red flag. But
Mhm.
so what do you think that means?
I think it means pay attention to when you argue. That really says a lot about someone. Arguments are going to happen. My husband and I adore each other. We argue. We never like shoot below the belt. Like we never come out with just those awful insults. We never insult each other ever to begin with, but like pay attention to what people say when they're angry or upset or when there's conflict. If they can't communicate effectively during a conflict, that's a red flag.
And in that, there's always room for growth, but that makes so much sense. Like if they're already starting out with having something that is just vile, then that's a long way to go. And how do we get there? What if that person doesn't want to change that either?
Mhm.
Okay. Ooh, that makes so much sense. Like it brings me to something I've gone over so many times of fair fighting rules. Make the argument about the argument, not about everything else that has happened.
Yes. Yup.
Being able to have it be calm, not screaming and yelling. Like, I know I'm a yeller and this is something I've worked
Mm,
on, but there was acknowledgement to be able to work on that. It was a poor coping skill in the past, for
yeah.
sure.
Yup. And I think some of that has to do with past experiences. My husband was a bit of a yeller because in the past he always felt unheard, not just in relationships, but in life in general. And so that was something that we just had to work on together is like, no, I'm going to hear you better when you are speaking respectfully and not loudly.
I'm not going to be in survival mode and ignoring
Mm-hmm.
everything because you're being too loud and so overstimulated.
Yes. Yeah, because I don't handle people raising their voice, even if he's not yelling at me. I think we talked about this before. Like, even if he's not yelling at me, but he's just being loud, like my fight or flight instincts click on, and you're not getting any productive conversation.
And we instantly get defensive.
Mm-hmm.
So in that same piece with communication, if they're always pointing the finger and saying you did this wrong and you did this wrong and never either owning up to maybe how that made them feel or taking accountability as to why, like taking that deeper piece of, okay, I yelled because I've always been unheard. If we don't have that insight, it's really hard to work on those things. And then that behavior continues. But we're automatically going to get defensive if someone says you did this wrong and never say, like, I feel hurt when this happens. I mean, bringing it back and being able to take that breath and to be able to identify why something is upsetting is going to go so much farther than just coming out of the gate with everything someone has done wrong, especially over time. If we're bringing every past frustration into this one argument, we lose the point of what we were even communicating about.
Also, under that umbrella of communication is lack thereof. So, lack of communication. So, if you're, getting to know somebody and you're telling them about yourself, but getting nothing back, that's a red flag. Like, if you're asking them about things and they're not forthcoming, and I'm not talking like your deepest, darkest secrets, but if they aren't communicating any information, that's a red flag.
If you're leaving after multiple dates or multiple times seeing them, you can't state a fact about them. That's
Hmm.
concerning. Well, it's nice that they're asking a whole bunch of questions about us, but this is a relationship. It's a partnership. We have
Hmm.
to know what makes that person tick. And I think so commonly it can be that there is someone who is like more of the communicator and then someone who is not finding that happy medium, but being able to acknowledge why that can be such a challenge, why that can be such a red flag.
Yeah. And I mean, if it's a challenge, you can work through it. Red flag behavior is like they just don't want to tell you anything
Right.
and they're like being very secretive about things. I don't know, my mind automatically goes to like, what are you hiding? Why don't you want to say anything? Like,
I appreciate you clarifying that piece.
like
Yeah.
I don't know, like they're not telling you anything about their home. Okay, is it because you have a wife at home? Like what are we hiding here? Like why are we being so weird and sus about something
The
as
simple
simple?
odds are, if they're not willing to communicate about any of the simple things like the surface level stuff, you're not going to get anything beneath that either. It's going to be
Mhm.
even worse of when something does really come up and you have no ability to communicate about the small things. The big things are just not going to happen.
Right. I think another big red flag that I see so often, and it is such a humongous bright red flag to me that I don't understand why the other person doesn't see it,
Hmm.
is control, especially early in a relationship. And I'm like getting on my soapbox, but it pisses me off because I'm seeing this more in younger kids. And I say kids because I'm talking like 14, 15, 16. The control is insane. I can't, I've had 14, 15-year-olds say, like, my boyfriend tells me what I can and can't wear to school. And I'm just like, ew, why? So that control piece of trying to control what you wear, what you dress like.
Who you talk to, who you communicate with.
Well, that too is like the monitoring thing. Like you constantly have to be on the phone with them all the time. Like I saw that too. Like I'm talking personal life, not therapy life. Like the kids and teens that I know in my personal life, like they have to just be on the phone with their significant other all the time. Like just on the phone, like in their pocket. Just so they can hear what's going on. That's weird. That's not normal. But they make it seem so. Well, what are you hiding? But it's like,
It
ick.
is normalized. You're so right.
Mhm.
Huh. And there is a healthy level of communication, but we need some separation too. We got to be our own person still within that. More so, what I've seen in the kids that I've been working with is just more of like a blackmail piece to it too. If you don't do
Ugh.
this, then I will do this, or I'll reach out to everybody at school, or I will
Mhm.
reach out to your mom and tell him this. I was like, oh my goodness, like this is high level manipulation.
In such young
Yes.
kids. So
Mm.
that for me is like number one huge red flag. Like if I can't pick up my phone without the person like looking over my shoulder, that's so red flag. Red flag.
What do you think some of the subtle ways that might show up, like in the beginning? So, like being able to spot that earlier on, rather than because we can become conditioned to like feel like that's normal. Then it gets bigger. But what are some of the subtle ways that that might show up?
Ooh, I don't know. Cause I've seen like the not subtle, like in your face. How do you not recognize this? But I get it. Oh my gosh.
And
I don't know.
to be fair, like when we're in the situation, it's never as apparent to us as it is
Of
to the people
course.
around us.
Yes.
I think a little bit like, there can be a healthy level of, like, letting someone know when you're leaving, what you're doing, letting them know
Yes.
that, "Okay, I'm doing this," asking permission, like, having to feel like you have to ask permission to go and do those things, rather than just being like, "Hey, I'm going out of the store to do this." Like, a level of just letting them know what's going on compared to someone keeping tabs.
Okay, yes. So I feel like what word did you use? Not inconspicuous, but
Subtle?
subtle. I think one subtle way is like, I'm just really concerned about your safety. And I only say that because, like, I actually really am concerned about my husband's safety because he drives an hour and a half to work very, very early in the morning. And it always, like, made me nervous. And so we got Life 360 with crash detection because I genuinely was concerned about his, safety. But I feel like they use that a lot. So, but that can be hard. Like, how do you know I'm actually concerned about my husband's safety and I'm not just tracking his every move?
Yeah.
So
That's hard, I think, to decipher. So maybe thinking about in context of when that's coming in, that level of investment. If we're 2 dates in and they want our location to be shared all the time.
that's freaking weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
No.
Sorry, it's weird. At that point, you should still be sharing your location with your best friend when you're going on these dates. Like, you shouldn't be sharing your location with a date. Like,
So that yeah, like, kinda deciphering, being able to see if, like, okay, is it because they actually do care? Because that makes sense. There is a level of someone caring, I'm sure. I mean, that's but when is that appropriate? And it goes a little bit by gut feeling too. Like, if you feel like, "Well, I have to do this, I have to share it with them or they're gonna be mad," yeah, we probably wanna pump those brakes on that, rather
yeah.
than being like, "Okay, I know they're just using it to make sure that I am safe. If I don't respond for an extended period of time, where were they?" Or maybe a way to catch it would be, "Well, I saw you were here. Oh, I didn't tell you that I was going there. Why were you looking?" When it wasn't a time that we needed to communicate that.
Okay, so I'm so guilty because I do this to my husband when I'm like, I'll like look at his location when I know he's on the way home. And sometimes I'll mess with him because I'll see that he's like at McDonald's. And so I'll like text him and be like, you making healthy choices right now? Just to like mess with him. Because then he'll be like, no, I'm getting a quarter pounder with cheese. So I love your point where you said, like, it really depends where you are in your relationship.
Yeah.
If you're in the beginning of your relationship and they want to know where you are, so most people aren't subtle about it. So they'll be like, well, what are you hiding? Like, yeah. So, yeah, where you are in the relationship. Because my husband and I were like living together, engaged.
Right.
It was like the middle of winter. I felt safer too. Cause I'm like, I leave the office in the middle of this, middle of the city. It's not a good area. I sometimes leave late at night. So like, I feel better with that too. So it was agreed upon. It wasn't like I didn't guilt him into it. He didn't guilt me into it. I was just kind of like, what would make us both feel safer? And then he was like, that would be really nice to know. So that way I know, if you're scheduled to leave at 8 o'clock at night and it's 8:30 and I haven't heard from you, at least I can look and see that you're on your way home or
Right.
something. And I'm like, yeah, same. Sometimes he'll text me in the morning and be like, all right, headed in. And that's at like 6:30. I'm still not awake. And so I wake up and I see that message and I'm like, okay, cool. He's safe. But he forgets sometimes. And still I wake up and I don't have a message from him. And I'm like, oh my God, he's in a ditch.
There's that level of panic. I mean, you and I both have talked about this, like, being the anxious type. It's, "Well, there's no message. Oh my god, something happened."
Right. So that,
And then I'm blown up the phone.
yeah.
So, sounds like, uh, ways to kinda judge this would be time in the relationship,
Hmm.
that feeling, like, if it's guilt or if it's mutual or if it's pressure. So, like, the level of pressure that's put on that to have that shared or that level of accountability. Yeah.
And also if it's one way or both ways. Like if he needs to know your location all the time, but you don't get access to that same information, that's a red flag.
I can't think of, like, really any good reason that that would exist. Maybe there's one out there, but, like, I don't really think of too many reasons that that would be right to for one side to have that and not the other,
Yeah.
you know?
If you feel
See?
like you need that though, I mean, it's probably not the healthiest relationship.
Yeah,
Just
fair.
one-sided.
Yeah.
But yeah, that lack of privacy in general, like if like we're friends, if you call me, I am able to say to my husband like, hey, I'm on the phone with Justin. I'm going to take this in the other room. I want to have like a private conversation. Same with like my girlfriends. I have to be like, oh, Danelle's calling me and I want to have a private conversation with her about girl stuff.
That should be okay.
Like, there shouldn't be any, like,
That made me think about the piece of like privacy with a phone of like sharing. Do you feel as though you're required to like share your passcode or password? And when is it appropriate, if ever, to like, go through someone's phone? If you're feeling pressure, and again, if that's one sided, but like I think about like I can pick up my husband's phone because I need to search something and it's okay. There's no like, so kind of gauge the feeling of that.
Mhm.
But does it feel like something's being hidden in that sense? And I know that is so common, especially with younger people and like
Yep.
early in relationships of like having to be so transparent about your phone. You're allowed to have some privacy in a relationship. Like you're allowed to be your
Mhm.
individual person. And just by having privacy doesn't mean you're hiding something. I know there's many reasons that like, people can feel as though there is, whether it be past relationships, that insecurity, understandable. But if we're in a healthy relationship, we're going to be able to challenge that.
Mhm.
What's your thought on that of like having access to each other's phones?
My husband and I have access to each other's phones.
Yeah.
Like, we have each other's passcodes. I just leave my phone around all the time. It's actually really funny, though. I do it on purpose. I do because, I don't want to like air all his business out there, but, some people have a history where they trusted people and their trust was broken. And so I want to make sure he knows that, like, he can trust me. So I just leave my phone everywhere now. Like, if I'm going to run into the store and he's in the car, unless I like need it, I'll just leave it in the car. I don't think he ever goes through it. I don't really care. You're going to see some weird with me and my best friends. You're going to see some weird memes and stuff, but other than that, you're not going to see anything good. So I don't care.
Yeah. And I appreciate you bringing that side up because I know there is, like, as we're talking about all these red flags, it can be really easy to paint the person bad that is maybe having some of that insecurity. But many times that is because something has happened to us. They've been
Hmm.
lied to. Like, you can be the best person and then have been lied to and then have these insecurities that are going to show up. So I'm going to go back to kind of the first point that we went to, though, was communication. Communicate that.
Yeah.
I've had people take advantage of this, or I've had people not be truthful with me. That's why I have this feeling or this insecurity.
Hmm.
What's
Yep.
your thought with that?
It's kind of exactly what I did. I kind of sat down. I'm like, hey, you shared with me that this has happened. So I just want you to know that you have full access to my phone. You can have it. Here's my passcode. I'll leave my phone laying around. I won't ever yell at you if you look at it. Like, it's fair game. And he had something like, I don't want to look at your phone. And I'm like, well, I know your history. As we progress in this relationship, you might have those like feelings.
Intrusive thoughts. I know I did. Like, I
Yes,
can
intrusive
definitely relate
thoughts.
to that.
So, if you do, and he did acknowledge, he was like, I don't have to look through your phone because you were so open with it. And he's like, you just leave it here and you go and take a shower. Like, because I can go through your phone, I have no desire to. So, and I deleted Snapchat. I hate
Me
Snapchat.
too. That's so funny. I don't think anything good comes from it.
No,
Especially when I hear these stories from these teens. Oh
God.
my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think of what Snapchat is used for and like 90% of the time, and I'm just like, I don't need that. Yep.
I agree.
So, but yeah.
Okay. So I know we kind of got off a little bit, but around that control piece of what is the level of healthy involvement then when it's crossing into control. And I think a lot of it has to go on listening to our gut, listening to ourselves. If it's feeling uncomfy or if we're feeling guilt or we feel like we're going to get in trouble, that's
Mm-hmm.
control.
Yeah.
That's going to be control. If it's mutual and it's because out of safety, and sometimes these words can be weaponized, and that's the tough part.
Yes. Yep.
So really, being really mindful of what are the context of it? What does it really feel like? What does the pattern of this look like?
Okay. So another one that I think everyone should pay attention to early in a relationship is how the person talks about their previous relationships and partners. I guess I'll just go with the generic example is you have the guy who's like, every single one of my exes, I have 7 of them and they're all crazy. they're just insane and they're crazy and psycho and they stalk me and blah blah blah. That's a red flag.
Ooh, even paying attention to that language. What is the language that they're using to describe their exes? So whether it be like that negative piece, is it really defeating? Is it really negative? Is it really mean? And then the level of accountability. Because like at some point, you're the common denominator.
Right.
If every single one of it, I mean, clearly they weren't great because we're hearing a new one, of course. But that being said, if it is every relationship was everybody else's fault, ooh, it's a
Right. So
lack of
like we're
accountability.
all 7 women the problem, or perhaps maybe you're the problem.
Mhm.
So paying attention kind of to that.
Because that question gets asked, right? A healthier way to be able to respond to it can be, it didn't work out because of this reason. I could have done this better. That's going to be a really good, like, green flag,
Mhm.
I guess.
Yeah, or just being honest. I mean, I have said like, yeah, no, I was in this relationship and I was young and stupid. It was totally my fault. I just made bad choices. I wasn't a
Mhm.
good partner. Yeah.
Accountability. We weren't a good match.
I think just
Goals.
being
Yeah.
honest. And I'm sure we all have like that one crazy ex. So, like you said, like the common denominator, if all of them are crazy, like, no, boo, it's you. Like, that's a red flag. And also, like, if he can't pinpoint the reason why it ended, only thing I can tell you is that they were absolutely insane
Mhm.
and they ruined their life, blah, blah. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's not enough context.
And at some point, we gotta learn from those. No, like we don't want to lie and like blame it on something that wasn't true, but like a little bit deeper. Like, what was it that really didn't work? And then you're gonna be able to see it was, well, we weren't a good fit. We didn't have similar values, or we didn't have similar life goals, or we didn't want kids. You know, whatever those
Mm-hmm.
things are. But to just have the blanket statement that they're crazy, and that's not enough. And that's
Yeah.
not good. That's no accountability.
Also on that same note is I see a lot where like people are still communicating with their exes. Like, how do I put this? Okay, this crazy ex just obsessed with me and just messages me all the time and says weird things like, "Hey baby, I have no idea why they're sending me these messages." Like, that's a huge red flag. Like, if you don't have a restraining order, like not really, but you know what I mean? If your new partner has someone that's like texting them comfortably and they're like, oh, they just kind of like blow it off, like, oh, they're just nuts. They're just obsessed with me. They're so hung up on me. Okay, but what are you doing to stop it?
Right.
Are you just letting it happen? That's a huge red flag. And then their ex is just crazy obsessed with them. I understand it because they're so awesome and blah, blah, blah. No, no.
It's like at some point, human nature, people lose interest and they stop. What are you doing to engage
Yes.
that? There is
Yes.
something.
And that is what, like, a lot of people can't understand is like, no, they're doing something to get them to continue to engage. Either that or
Are we
we,
playing devil's advocate?
we need to start talking about a restraining order.
Yeah. There is something that we can do to control it to some degree. Right. Like,
Right.
because I don't want to victim shame by any means. Like, that happens. Like,
It
there are people
does.
that do not take the no for an answer, that do keep on doing it. What are we then doing to be able to get that to stop? If it's clearly uncomfortable, we have to try some ways to get it to
If
stop.
you're not seeing them actively, okay, example, if my ex texted me and was like, hey, I miss you so much, I would immediately text them back and be like, F off. I have no interest in you. So if instead that popped up and I was like, my God, they're just obsessed with me. I'll just ignore them.
I'll text them back later.
No, that's a red flag. No, we need to see that you're not engaging in that you're not keeping them on the back burner, or that you're not still seeing them.
So I see this come up so commonly now in like the day and age that we're in with social media.
Mhm.
Like if they're not accepting us as a friend, or they're not following us, but they are following all of these other people, why?
Ooh, okay. See, social media, I use it and I love it. But there are certain things where people use it as an excuse of like, oh, it's just Facebook. Like, I don't care that he doesn't post about me on Facebook. I don't care that his entire Facebook looks like he's single because I know that's weird. I'm sorry, but like, It's weird. There should be something. I mean, I'm not sitting there every day posting like, my husband's wonderful. I love my husband, blah, blah, blah. But I have it listed on Facebook that I'm married. I have a few pictures of us. Like, if you were to look at my Facebook, you would know I'm happily married.
Or if it's not being in the opposite side, not making it look like you're single. Like, if someone is, like, relatively neutral, because sometimes, like, professional, different things, like, you don't wanna overly post. For some people, don't feel comfortable with that, but not going out of your way to make it look like the opposite either.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't back to that feeling piece, like, if it doesn't feel right and they're coming up with just really weak excuses of why that is, go with our gut.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that comes down to maybe a respect piece as well. Like, we want to be transparent with the person that we're with. If it's going to be a meaningful relationship, why are we hiding them and blocking them?
Right.
No.
Yep. Oh, and I hate that constant like block, unblock, block, unblock. Like my boyfriend and I got in a fight, so then he blocked me and I had to make a new number and beg him to unblock. I'm like, oh God. I'm like,
That's a
what?
level of chaos and crisis that is just not needed. That's
Mhm.
not helpful.
Also, if they use, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but if they use the relationship as leverage in a fight, red freaking flag.
Ooh.
Like in all of our arguments, it's never been like, this is my way or we are done. But how often does that happen where it's like, if you can't do this, then we're done. And then it's like all the time, like the constant breakup, makeup, breakup, makeup.
Mhm.
It's a toxic cycle.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is, a cycle.
Yep.
Repeats until we put an end to that. Last one that we have,
Is
boundaries.
boundaries and respecting boundaries in the beginning. Yes.
So this would be taking no for an answer, and this
Mm-hmm.
would be respecting and not pushing past someone's desires or their wants. And this can be in so many different ways. Like, I guess I normally always thought of this in like the physical sense, but this can even be in like the subtle, simple conversations of someone respecting not to give someone their number. And I encountered this more recently. It was so interesting of like, if they don't respect it at the beginning, what else are they not going to respect?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. Even like subtle things like, if you guys are going out to dinner, you're going to have one drink and that's it. Okay. And then if they're like, no, have another one. And you're like, no, I'm good. I just wanted one. And they are like pushing you. It's like, no, that's not respecting boundaries. I said no. What part of no did you not understand the first time? What else are you not going to understand no for?
What about like setting time frames keeping you later? Yes, like I've
Oh,
had people talk about that of like they just like came and didn't want to leave or like overstaying their welcome when they've been at like a house, or commonly it might be like respecting that like, okay, I'm going to, we can go out for the day. I want to be home by this time. And then you're saying you want to be home by 8, and then they're no, 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 just one more thing. We'll do one more thing. We'll do one more thing, and then we're getting home at midnight.
mm-hmm.
Why are we not respecting that boundary?
Yeah. Yep. Or like, hey, can I come in for an after dinner drink? And you're like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go to bed. And they're like, let's just have some coffee. We don't need to have a drink, glass of water. Just pushing those boundaries.
Yeah. And I think for so long it was so commonly like seen as cute, like, oh, they love me so much they want to spend more time, or they want to shower me with affection. Respecting a boundary is like the ultimate show of
Yeah.
affection.
Like, it's okay to ask. If
Yeah.
you're really digging this person and you're like, hey, I want the night to continue. Do you want to come in and have some coffee? That's totally fine. Like, I'm not saying don't ask. I'm saying respect the answer. Don't push it.
Don't guilt them.
Ugh.
Don't make them
Yeah.
justify it. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay.
For sure.
What else with respecting boundaries?
That was the big thing that popped
Yeah.
in my head. I don't know.
I think like when setting limits, respecting those, like
Mhm.
there's a reason that someone is setting limits. And that can be in terms of how many times you want to see someone a week. Or,
Mhm.
then when it is, kind of talking about the intimacy piece, like respecting someone's autonomy and like their choice. Where, okay, I think about this when it comes to like being in school or commitments with work or things like that. I still have to focus on these other things. And the person is, okay, I want to hang out every single day. And then we're feeling guilted to hang out every single day. Or they're not going to love me if I don't hang out with them every day. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I've heard a lot over this entire episode?
Well,
Guilt.
yeah.
Like one of the main focuses for every
Mhm.
topic we covered is guilt.
Yeah.
Making you feel guilty for
Yeah.
things.
So huge red flag
Yep.
in that sense.
And when in doubt, just ask your bitchiest friend for their opinion and they will tell you. But we're both therapists. So what if, because, they might think, who I should ask that like doesn't have a part in it? My therapist. I'm going to ask my therapist. So what if somebody did come in and throw a bunch of red flags at us? Like, how do you kick it back and say, like, those are all red flags?
So this
Right?
is something I think it's been coming up more often. I don't know if it's the time of year. I have no clue, but I feel like I've had this conversation often.
Freaking Valentine's Day, guys.
Who wants to couple up? Yeah. A way that I've handled it is literally broken down like a pros and cons list. And
Ooh, yes.
yeah, so like breaking down that pros and cons list and noticing how much that person is justifying it.
Mm.
Here's the con. Well, they do it because of this, and it's not that bad, and I really don't mind it. It's not too big of a deal. I then ask, well, why is it not a big deal then? If you said you didn't like it, why is it not a big deal? Also, giving someone that space to be able to like explore why they feel that way. Why are they thinking that it's either a red flag or why are they justifying it? Is there pressure? Is there something internal? Do we just want to be with someone to be with someone? Are we feeling like we have to? Are our friends in relationships? The thing that I ask a ton is like, why are we putting up with behavior that's not filling us up?
Mm.
It sounds like it's taking something out of you.
Yeah. Would you be okay if your best friend was being treated this way?
Mm,
I always like to turn it around and be like, well, if your best friend was being treated this way, what would you say to them? But I think it really depends on the client for me
yeah.
because like I have a few in just like in my head where if they were like, listen, I'm going to give you some info and I want to know if it's like, is this red flags? Am I overthinking? Like, what's going on? And if they give it to me and I will straight up say, like, girl, we need that guy on TikTok with the giant red flag because these are all red flags.
Yeah, like thinking about there are red flags that there's no justification to it, where we can try and rationalize it and justify it through and through. And that might, I know for me, that's things that I've done in my own head, getting it out and sharing it with someone else that's like, oh no.
And then you have to justify it. You should never have to justify your partner's behavior. Like, oh yeah, he just gets like that, when he's angry, but he doesn't ever, he just gets mad. He doesn't hit me or anything. Like it's fine. Like if you shouldn't have to justify things to people. I don't know. It just gives me the ick. But I'm perfectly comfortable with people. If they ask me, I will say, do you want me to answer this honestly? Are you really looking for my honest opinion? And if they say yes, oh, I'll give it to them.
Oh, I think that's gonna be a good way to do that. Of what are you looking for in this? Do you want to figure it out? Do you need some like yes or no of like this is red flag, this is green flag? Okay.
My life personally and professionally has changed since I started asking people, what are you looking for? Especially personally. Like I'll ask, like, okay, do you need to vent? Do you need me to be angry with you? Do you need me to just be honest with you? Like what are
Find
you
a solution.
Yeah, are we looking for a solution? And so I know what to give them. And I ask that professionally too. We're like, okay, what are we looking to get out of this? Are we problem solving? Are we identifying? Are we, you just need to vent for a minute and then we can decide what we want to do with it? Like,
Because as social workers, we're taking those steps and walking with the person that we're working with. It's not coming in and solely getting advice. It's not problem solving for the person. Like we're taking those steps with the person to get the best outcome.
yeah, that's the hardest part is when I have to bite my tongue and I can't be like, girl, kick him to the curb.
Right.
He is just a walking red. I have to just bite my tongue and be like,
But we can explore why.
we're going to figure this out together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's it for today. But this is a fun topic. So if anyone has any other red flags or red flag stories that they want to share, any type of first date fiascos, that would be awesome. I would love to hear it.
All right. Thank you guys for joining.